blend of ancient history and modern-day leisure. The most compelling feature here is the archaeological site with the remains of a grand Roman villa, traditionally linked, though without hard proof, to Pompey the Great. Locals still affectionately call it the Villa di Pompeo. What makes this ruin so evocative are its surviving porticos, brick columns, and mosaicked rooms. There's even a long, windowed underground walkway that once offered cool, sun-dappled strolls right by the sea, out of the midday glare. The area itself sprang to life as a dedicated summer resort after the 1950s, transforming the once sparse coastline into a grid of parks, family villas, and low-rise holiday homes. During the height of summer, Marina di San Nicolas population surges from a couple of thousand to well over 12,000, mostly Romans escaping city heat and drawn by the wide, sandy beach, which stretches for about 2 kilometers and is refreshingly uncrowded even in peak season. There's a pleasant rhythm to local life. Small squares with trattorias and markets, surfers and kite surfers taking to the waves when the wind picks up, root vegetables, local seafood, and classic Roman dishes featuring on dinner tables. For day trips, you're perfectly placed. The world-famous Etruscan necropolis at Cerveteri and the medieval Torre Flavia are both within easy reach, and the regional train can whisk you into Rome or along the coast without fuss. A quirk of the Roman villa, a watchtower ruin nearby was partially repurposed with concrete during the Second World War, an odd layer of history atop the ancient stones. And if you're in the mood for a sunset stroll, a pedestrian path links straight to the Palo Laziale WWF Nature Reserve, where you can watch egrets and wildflowers sway in the salty breeze. Right now, the air is cool and damp, with a steady drizzle soaking the hills around Blera. This little village, perched on a tufa spur where 2 deep gorges meet, feels even more mysterious under these moody skies. Blera's story begins with the Etruscans, who carved their homes and tombs into the soft rock over 2,000 years ago. Their legacy is everywhere. In the ancient necropolises tucked into the cliffs, in the tunnels and caves that once served as cellars and stables, and in the winding streets of the village itself, where medieval staircases called profferli climb between tufa-walled houses. The Via Clodia, an old Roman road, still cuts through the valley, flanked by bridges and tombs. The Devil's Bridge, a Roman arch from the 1st century BC, stands as a testament to the engineering skill of the past. Nearby, the Mole waterfalls tumble through a wooded gorge, a favorite spot for hikers and history buffs alike. The area is dotted with Etruscan necropolises, including the spectacular monumental necropolis of Norcia, often called Italy's most stunning cliffside burial site. Blera's medieval center is a maze of narrow alleys and historic buildings, like Palazzo Colonna and the Church of Santa Maria Assunta, which houses the tomb of Saint Vivenzio. The village once had its own bishop and even gave birth to Pope Sabiniano I in the Middle Ages. It was fought over by Lombards, Romans, and noble families, each leaving their mark. Locals still use the old caves for storage, and the surrounding countryside is dotted with ancient watermills and Roman bridges. The landscape is a blend of history and nature, where every turn reveals a new layer of the past. Serrano is one of those rare places in Tuscany that feels more like a living museum than an ordinary town. Its roots are remarkably deep. Founded on dramatic cliffs of volcanic tufa stone, the settlement dates back to Etruscan times, with winding passageways still following the labyrinthine traces of those ancient dwellers. Throughout the Middle Ages, Serrano became a coveted stronghold, fortified by the Aldobrandeschi and Orsini families, whose massive Orsini fortress still dominates the skyline. The fortress is a prime example of Renaissance military architecture, with bastions, dungeons, and even secret ventilation shafts once used to clear out gunpowder fumes. Details you rarely see even in Italy. The historic center is a blend of crooked stone lanes, staircases, and archways carved directly into the rock. There's the Masso Leopoldino, a distinctive fortified terrace added in the 19th century after landslides, providing a great spot for views across the wild, green valleys of southern Tuscany. Religion and legend intertwine here. Several churches house centuries-old treasures, such as the Church of St. Mary Maggiore, where a hoard of nearly 500 gold coins was discovered hidden during renovations, a reminder of how much local history is still being uncovered. Serrano also remembers its Jewish heritage. For centuries, a Jewish community lived and worshipped here. Their ghetto and a restored synagogue stand quietly along Via Selvi, evoking a chapter of multi-faith life that's quite rare for a small Tuscan hill town. Just outside town, you'll find the Città del Tuffo Archaeological Park, a haunting landscape of Etruscan tombs carved deep into cliff faces and hidden groves. The thermal springs south of the center are a revived tradition, once favored by medieval nobles and now open once again for visitors eager to soak up both minerals and history. A local legend claims the town resisted Roman assimilation longer than any neighbor, lending Serrano a stubborn, almost secretive air. Walking these tangled streets and unearthing their layers, you get the sense that Serrano would rather reveal its wonders slowly, one hidden door at a time. Merlot is a fascinating patchwork of medieval and Etruscan heritage, perched atop a hill with sweeping views of the Val di Merse and the lush Crevel Valley. Its heart is the storied Merlot Castle, a fortress from the 12th century that once anchored the feudal domain of the bishops of Siena. The tight cluster of stone houses pressed reveal layers of history. Crevel Castle, known since the late 12th century, still preserves the drama of its strategic battles, while the Hermitage of Montespecchio, with its walls tilting at an angle steeper than Pisa's, holds centuries-old mysteries. Merlot is also distinguished for its efforts to preserve ancient culinary traditions, such as cultivating the rare Venanzio bean, which locals have grown for over 150 years. Local kitchens brim with Sienese ribollita, a hearty bread and vegetable soup, peachy pasta laden with ragu and porcini mushrooms, and the occasional stuffed pigeon. All this pairs beautifully with robust local wines and the sweet amber Vin Santo. The climate swings gently between mild springs and golden summers, inviting outdoor strolls through medieval piazzas or the scenic lanes linking neighboring wine towns like Montalcino and Buonconvento. A little-known detail: during the Sienese Wars, Crevel Castle used smoke signals to send vital messages across the valleys, a reminder that Merlot's silent stones once hummed with intrigue. For a final quirky note, The Montespecchio Hermitage's leaning walls have a greater angle than the famous Leaning Tower itself, a local brag that only those who visit realize fully. Merlot is small, yes, but for those curious about ancient footprints, lost beans, and Stoic castles, it's quietly unforgettable. You're heading to a fascinating corner of Tuscany, Gambassi Terme, nestled in the Val d'Elsa about 35 kilometers southwest of Florence. It's evening as we fly over, and I can tell you the town is wrapped in overcast clouds right now, about 7 degrees Celsius, with that crisp Tuscan chill settling in. Worth knowing if you're planning to explore on foot tonight. What makes Gambassi truly special isn't just one thing. It's this layering of history that unfolds as you walk its streets. The town's been inhabited since the Neolithic age, but it really thrived when the Etruscans and Romans recognized it as a crucial crossroads. Later, medieval pilgrims traveling the famous Via Francigena, that epic route from Canterbury to Rome and beyond, passed through here regularly. You can still walk those same pilgrim roads today, and there's an older trade route too, the Via Salaiola, where merchants hauled salt from Volterra to Florence centuries ago. Here's what caught my attention. Between the Middle Ages and the modern era, Gambassi became renowned across Italy for glassmaking. The local artisans, called biscerai, were genuinely sought after. That tradition is preserved beautifully in a permanent glass exhibition displaying around 3,000 archaeological pieces, some dating back to the 13th century. You can actually visit the old furnace sites and see where this craft flourished. The town itself took its official name, Gambassi Terme, only in 1977, after thermal baths were discovered here. Those baths have been attracting visitors ever since, nestled in the Benestare Park's greenery. The medieval heart of town still shows its planned layout with 3 main streets converging near the old castle, and there's a charming clock tower with a wooden puppet named Membrino who operates the bell, one of the rarest of its kind in Tuscany. You're also perfectly positioned to explore nearby Volterra, San Gimignano, and Certaldo. It's the kind of place where you can genuinely feel the weight of centuries without it ever feeling heavy. Borgo a Mazzano, set in the cool evening air at just 4 degrees Celsius with overcast skies and a cozy mist hugging its medieval arches, is a town with a story as rich as its scenery. Most people hear of Borgo a Mazzano because of the legendary Ponte della Maddalena, more famously called the Devil's Bridge. Its bold, asymmetrical stone arches have inspired awe for centuries. According to local legend, the devil himself helped build it, but was tricked by a clever villager who sent a goat across first, leaving the devil fuming and the bridge forever unique. But there's much more than just the bridge here. The old center of Borgo a Mazzano winds through narrow medieval streets lined with palaces and crowned with quaint gardens. Azaleas bloom everywhere, celebrated each April in the village's beloved flower festival. The Church of San Pietro dates back to the 12th century, and other historic chapels are scattered through hamlets along the Cerchio Valley. History buffs might find the remains of the Gothic Line, the German World War II fortification stretching across Italy, particularly haunting. Here, visitors can walk along one of the best preserved anti-tank walls from the war, explore old bunkers, and even trek through chestnut woods to higher mountain outposts. The area's temperate climate, even with tonight's chilly overcast, has long made it enticing for settlement, from the Etruscans to medieval knights. Food here is classic Tuscan. Think hearty soups, local cheeses, and chestnuts, a staple from the region's forests. Not far from town are the famed thermal springs of Bagni di Lucca, once favored by nobility for their elegant spas. For a panoramic sweep of the valley, the Torre del Bargiglio sits high above, rewarding the adventurous with arresting views. Borgo a Mazzano is a tapestry of legend, local flavor, and layers of history, one of those rare places where every stone has a tale to tell. Right now, the evening air in Bagnoni is crisp, just 7 degrees Celsius with overcast skies and a gentle wind, giving the medieval stone lanes their usual moody charm. Nestled in Tuscany's Lunigiana, Bagnoni is a place where history is tightly packed into twisting alleys, ancient arcades, and an iconic castle perched above a gushing stream lined with natural waterfalls. The town's roots go back at least 1,000 years. First documented in 963, Bagnoni took its name from the lively torrent that still curves through its heart. Its hilltop castle, once held by the Malaspina family in the 14th century, remains the dominant symbol, with a cylindrical stone keep and vestiges of noble power. Below, what was once the Gatula market town is now a web of artisan lanes, where tailors and apothecaries did business under covered arcades, some of which survive today. Strolling around, you'll find architectural steps through time, a theater from the early 20th century tucked among sandstone tower houses, the poignant church of San Nicolo with relics said to hail from Jerusalem, and the evocative oratory of San Terenzio graced by 17th century paintings. The museum archive of memory inside the old quarter is a thoughtful stop, devoted to keeping the stories of the Bagnonis alive. Food here mirrors the rugged landscape. Expect rustic pastas, chestnut flour specialties, and, notably, the locally celebrated Cipoll di Trecciato. Onions so sweet they get their own festival nearby. Despite its gentle hum, Bagnoni was famously rocked in 2009 when a lucky resident won one of Europe's largest lottery jackpots, an unexpected fate for a village so rooted in tradition. For hiking enthusiasts, there are trails winding from Old Town gates up to castle ruins and beyond, revealing sweeping valleys and neighboring hamlets where more medieval towers stand guard over Tuscany's secret northern edge. A frosty night settles over Ferrier with snow drifting gently past its centuries-old rooftops. This is the Val di Nuer at its most atmospheric, the cold air sharp but invigorating. Ferrier is perched more than 800 meters up in the Apennines, surrounded by forested slopes and rugged peaks, making it a haven for nature lovers and hikers all year round. The area offers excellent routes like the one winding past Lago Mu and Lago Bino, mountain lakes cherished by locals for their pristine beauty and the way they shimmer between patches of lingering snow. Ferrier is best known for its connection to ancient fortresses and remote villages. The restored Castello di Gambaro, still inhabited and offering a rare glimpse into local aristocratic life, stands out as a highlight for visitors. Nearby, the evocative ruins of Rocca dei Folli and other medieval outposts speak to a history of feudal skirmishes and border disputes between competing duchies. While the town itself is quiet, the region boasts a strong culinary identity tied to mountain traditions. Think hearty stews thick with local beans, wild mushrooms picked on misty mornings, and cured meats produced in tiny hillside farms. Winters are long and cold, fueling traditions of communal gatherings around the fireplace with robust red wines and tales of wolves roaming the high ridges. Among the village's quirks, you'll hear stories about how each newborn is taken to the ancient parish church for a local blessing, an age-old tradition that still binds the community together. For adventurous travelers, Monte Crocilia offers panoramic views across multiple valleys, a favorite for both seasoned mountaineers and families on weekend outings. With its snowy forests, storied castles, and the timeless rhythm of rural mountain life, Ferrier offers a unique window into the hidden heart of Emilia-Romagna, far from Italy's crowded tourist corridors. You're flying over rolling hills and quietly winding country roads in Piedmont, and below sits Serrazzano, a village with deep medieval roots set within the province of Alessandria. Unlike its urban siblings, Serrazzano is known for its tranquil countryside, rich agricultural traditions, and genuine ties to local history. Its most prominent landmark is Gliding near the village of Morcella, just outside lively Vigevano in the rice-rich lowlands of Lombardy, you're surrounded by a quietly storied landscape rarely found in guidebooks but deeply woven into Italy's agricultural heart. Morcella is a small hamlet nestled within the fertile territory known as Lomellina, a district famed for its endless paddies, producing some of Europe's best risotto rice. Fields shimmer with water through much of spring and early summer, as generations of local families have relied on this unique patchwork for both livelihood and tradition. The nearby city of Vigevano itself is just a brief ride away, noted for its Renaissance grandeur. The central Piazza Ducale, designed at the behest of the powerful Sforza dukes, is considered one of Italy's most harmonious city squares, perfectly proportioned and ringed with arcades. The impressive Castello Sforzesco, with its iconic covered road and stables, once hosted the likes of Leonardo da Vinci and remains a testament to the region's historical status as a ducal seat. This close-knit network of villages and estates supplied the Milanese courts for centuries, not only with rice but also silk, making Vigevano a key industrial town from as early as the Renaissance. Locally, food culture is rooted in what the land gives. Classic Lombard specialties like risotto alla certosina and hearty salumi dominate the daily table. Morcella, while peaceful and unassuming, shares this deep agricultural DNA and is wrapped in the rhythms of sowing and harvest. A fun tidbit: in spring, when the rice paddies flood, locals call the region Little Venice, for the mirror-like reflections and the quirks of winding between waters on raised tracks. It's a landscape that speaks softly, but with a confidence born of centuries at the crossroads of culture, commerce, and quiet innovation. Cuggiono is one of those tranquil Lombard towns, gently brushed by the waters of the Naviglio Grande Canal, where Italian history seems woven right into the trees and stones. Its roots stretch back centuries, with the oldest church, Chiesa dei SS. Giacomo e Filippo, dating to at least 988 according to medieval records. This lovely church features a single nave and 4 chapels with frescoes depicting the evangelists, and its main altar contains a circular marble temple housing a treasured crucifix painting. Much of the town's story is told in its grand villas. Villa Annoni is an 18th-century estate, so expansive it now hosts the town hall, surrounded by a landscaped park where peacocks wander and locals stroll among ancient trees. Just a stroll away is Villa Clerici, which reputedly sports 365 windows, one for each day of the year, and a double Baroque staircase leading down to the canal, though over time, this once glorious palace has suffered from neglect. Cuggiono's Civic Museum is a surprise gem, packed with over 2,000 artifacts collected from daily life. Everything from local crafts to relics of noble families who once rambled these halls. The bridge over the Naviglio Grande, built in 1544 after a wooden predecessor collapsed, features a small statue of the Madonna in the center and attracts cyclists and kayakers eager to enjoy this rural stretch just beyond bustling Milan. Local legend tells of families who, generations past, left Cuggiono seeking fortune in distant lands, contributing to Italian enclaves abroad, including Dago Hill in St. Louis. For travelers, Cuggiono offers a taste of beautiful, lived-in history with a serene, slightly off-the-radar charm. A classic slice of Lombardy, where even the windows seem to be counting the days. Ferno, nestled in the province of Varese in Lombardy, is a town often overshadowed by its proximity to the mighty Milan Malpensa airport, yet it's a place with its own distinct pulse and character. Historically, Ferno's roots stretch back centuries, and one of its quiet treasures is St. Mary's Church. This 14th-century Romanesque building displays medieval frescoes and a triptych believed to be by a follower of Gaudenzio Ferrari, offering a slice of art history that's serene and far from the crowds. Although small, with a population shy of 7,000, Ferno is ingeniously situated as a gateway to northern Italy. From here, you're within easy reach of Lombardy's iconic lakes, charming towns, and the fashionable heart of Milan. The local economy owes much to the airport. Once, even the Volair airline called Ferno home. The railway station directly connects travelers with the wider region, making Furno a more cosmopolitan spot than its sleepy streets might suggest. The food here leans into Lombard tradition. Think hearty risottos, local salumi, and pastries from family-run bakeries. Perfect after wandering through the town or cycling along country lanes. Typical weather in Furno mirrors its neighboring plains. Winters are damp and chilly, while spring and autumn bring a pleasant, mild climate, with summer days warmed by breezes from the lakes to the north. A little-known quirk: Furno's close ties to aviation have made it the starting point for countless Italian journeys, yet most air travelers barely notice the town itself. If you linger, though, you'll spot grand old villas tucked between new buildings, a quiet testament to the region's shifting fortunes as both farmland and a crossroads of modern travel. For an unexpected outing, the Volandia Museum of Flight, just a short hop away, offers an immersive look at Italy's aeronautical adventures, not far from Furno's original fields. As we look down over Furno in the province of Varese, you'll notice it's a compact town in a richly industrial and well-connected corner of northern Italy, right on the doorstep of Milan Malpensa Airport. Much of the local economy has always spun around transport, logistics, and light industry. No surprise given the proximity to one of Italy's busiest aviation hubs. Many residents commute into nearby towns or Milan for work, balancing jobs in manufacturing, engineering, and an increasing share in the wider service sector, which has become a backbone in Lombardy's job market over the past decades. Residential neighborhoods in Furno reflect typical northern Italian styles: low-rise apartment blocks, simple townhomes, and detached family houses. Newer builds sit alongside older, sometimes pastel-colored houses, giving local streets a quietly varied feel. You won't find luxury grandeur here, but instead practical, utilitarian architecture that matches the town's working-class roots. In terms of real estate and affordability, Furno enjoys somewhat lower prices compared to neighboring Milan or even Varese city, making it accessible for families and young professionals alike. While Lombardy's wider real estate market has seen some ups and downs, towns like Furno have largely followed a stable, gradual trend without wild spikes in pricing or rent. This steadiness attracts folks looking for value, particularly those who want to live near big cities without paying city center premiums. You might notice small-scale redevelopment projects and new builds, especially near transport corridors, but Furno has resisted dramatic transformation, keeping a sense of local, everyday Italian life. The cost of living remains reasonable for the region, and neighborhoods feel safe and community-oriented. All in all, Furno is a working town with a practical character, evolving at its own pace as the region modernizes.